And we're back with part 2 of part 5 of Back to the Future. Again, it's Paul, Michael, and Nathaniel.
Too many numbers and names.
This is where things get more interesting.
Where they
You
finally
talking about our
reveal who Marty's
commentary or
real
the
father
game?
is.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go with that joke.
Alternate Doc dies.
Spoiler.
Well, Edna runs him over and kills him in like 3 minutes, or he's dying right now. See,
Still
look,
a
fading
spoiler.
out of
Spoiler.
existence. I never quite understand it. I mean, he's fading out of existence, and they have to kill him anyway. It's like,
Well,
really,
maybe
does he
just-
need to get run over while he's fading out of existence? Couldn't
wait,
you just
wait.
send the fading out of existence
Fading out
death?
and drove
One
through
might
her.
say that it's overkill.
Paul.
Get this video off on the right start.
And he's naming elements on the periodic table.
So wait, why is he fading out of existence?
I have no idea. Why did he start to fade out of existence? Because young Emmett's thing was... Emmett is now an inventor.
Okay.
And Marty officially broke up young Emmett and young Edna by showing
Running
that
him
she's
over.
a speakeasy arsonist. So now he's no longer
So wait, this Doc
harboring
is fading and
any
now
effects
real
for
Doc is gonna come back?
Yeah. Yeah, alternate Doc's fading, and then real Doc's is going to come to
Okay.
life again.
Why not?
Because now Emmett is no longer attracted to Edna, because he doesn't like girls who set buildings on fire.
I'm sorry, my wife just walked by and said he looks more like a hobo than a doc.
Well, this is odd, I think.
Okay, now
Why
he
was-
looks like Chrono.
Yes, he
Why
does.
is his hair up like that? Is he supposed to resemble older Doc with
I
his
was
hair
actually
like
thinking
that?
that too.
I didn't see it.
Wild party. I'm afraid I've been banned from the expo for the next 50 years. If I were you, I wouldn't go back in either. At least not until all the broken glass is swept up.
We stopped our commentary at the exact same point as we did in the first video. Everybody just
Yeah.
gets silent at the same time. What is this?
It's a very interesting conversation. Apparently he crashed the machine into the house of glass, which really, he should have done that so much earlier and saved us the hassle of going through that horrible, horrible puzzle.
I was just thinking about pie.
But I was going to mention this in the previous video, at the end of the previous video. How was he able to create a hover car in 1930?
I like the idea of a Hubler car. Let's do one of those.
How was he able to create a
Yeah.
time machine in 1985? That technology hasn't been invented yet. At least it hadn't yet at that point.
Oh, that was a learning experience.
Well, no. It wasn't the case that, like, his future self gave him the car, and it did take him 30 years to build the car, but it took young Emmett, like, 6 hours to build a hover car.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask about, or mention at least. The flower part, flower pot with the recording device inside of
Yes.
it. Seems rather sophisticated for this time period. Did they really have recording
No, it
devices?
was it was our tape recorder that we put in the flower. Is that true?
It was
No, it was really made by the police.
Really?
the guy who tried to hire me in there.
Because that
That's
seems
what we're supposed to
that
believe.
seems even a little more sophisticated than. Like, I can understand super genius scientists coming up with a time machine or a flying car, but run-of-the-mill police scientist from 1931?
Yeah, 'cause
Well, I guess we don't know that it was run-of-the-mill scientists for the time period. They could have also been a super genius.
It does have something to do with me.
Well, no, I mean the other things he wasn't able to invent, like the breathalyzer and such.
Let me see. I deserve an explanation.
I mean the other things at the booth, which we sort of talked over, were a breathalyzer and a taser, and he said it's like these are things they might make in the future. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. Half of the things they said would happen in the future were made, and half of them weren't. Is that what it's trying to say? I'm off topic. Okay, back to the game. Paul, did you think this was plausible?
What? Which part?
because Marty gives this newspaper clipping to Emmett, and young Emmett doesn't open it until he gets the key to the city.
And you can't understand.
I
Not for
think
a
that's
long time.
absolutely
Until
plausible.
irreparable
I,
damage to
when I was in
something.
elementary school,
Just
wrote
change the
a sort of
promise.
time capsule letter to myself that said, do not open until 2010 or 2015. If it was 2010, I've definitely opened it and looked at it. If it's 2015, it's still in a drawer somewhere. Because I distinctly remember what I put in it,
We'll see you again,
but
right?
I don't remember whether or not I've actually opened it yet.
Guarantee it.
I remember putting together a small time capsule when I was a kid. I put like a recent issue of Disney Adventures magazine, a couple toys, I think a cassette tape. I lasted about a week before I opened that thing to see what was inside.
My point is that in the first Back to the Future movie, when Marty gives Doc a letter that says, do not open until 1985, Doc opens it immediately.
However,
It takes him like a week to open it up.
this is a much younger, different Doc.
But still, I mean, this is like, he holds on to that letter for 50 years. He holds on the newspaper clipping for 50 years.
Well,
but
and it's also possible that he's expecting to get to the key to the city, like, in the near future, and just forgets about it. I mean, you never know.
Yay, a touching
anyway,
reunion,
Doc-
yay!
Doc and Marty love each other again.
This is the part of the game coming up in, maybe a minute, that actually did break my computer. This is one of the first times, again, because I have a much older machine, this is one of the first times I've run into something where the entire game runs fine up until one specific part, and it just broke the game. I could not progress past this cutscene. And I was looking around on the Telltale forums, and apparently this is an issue that caught them totally off guard. They were like, and they were offering some solutions, and so eventually, I don't remember what I had to do to fix the game, but it was some bizarre workaround that finally got it to barely play.
I guess the lesson there for any playtesters is that you should test it on not just the newest models that you have in your office.
If it's technically capable of running it, try it. And hey, guess who?
You see my Artie anywhere?
Yep. Can you actually read and hear the things now, Nathaniel?
I can't, but I distinctly remember this part, because I had to replay it 3 or 4 times, testing all of the workarounds to get the cutscene to work.
Yes.
So, this McFly, who is voiced by Michael J. Fox, said that George McFly has just married Trixie.
He's married the wrong grandma. I mean, Trixie's not my grandma.
Marty, you're so dumb.
If she's not my grandma, I'm not married.
It took Marty a long
He still
time.
hasn't!
I met him when he was a baby.
We're in the second half of Game 5 and he has no idea.
Holy crap, Doc.
So I think it actually worked having Michael J. Fox play this older McFly.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Whatever the problem is, I'm sure we can undo it.
I mean, sure, he doesn't sound like Marty McFly from the movies, but I mean, he's playing old person,
Yeah.
right? He's playing an old McFly, so the voice
No, I mean, it
is
shouldn't be the same
the right
exact
age.
as Marty McFly from 1985. It should be a different voice, so I think it works very well.
What's going on here?
But here's a counter argument. George McFly and Artie McFly have the exact same voice.
Yes.
Edna Strickland off in this car. Not this exact car, but a car just like it.
They were a little closer in age.
Disappearing into thin air? Well,
Yeah.
Edna Strickland just disappeared in the DeLorean?
That's
what
all
you
I got.
call It. It made a loud noise, and then wham! Nothing.
Ah, Danny Parker. Great Scott.
Marty, do you have any notion what date she might have jumped to? None at all, Doc. See, that DeLorean's time...
Okay, so now we're getting to a new plot point, which came out of nowhere, actually. Was anybody expecting this?
Let's just hope she jumped into the future.
Oh, is this that thing with Edna and the time travel and such?
Jumped into the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the whatever you call it, the description for the game, which we got like several
Yeah.
months before
I
the
was
game
I
was
was
released.
trying very hard not to look at those descriptions.
It's a climatic chase through Hill Valley's past and future. That was the description, but we haven't had any time travel until this point in the game. So really, it's just a climatic chase to
I
the
was gonna
past.
say and future.
They never go to the future.
I was expecting, Yeah, oh yeah, what we just missed with all the flashing and everything disappearing, that's when the computer broke. Just for reference, in
Yeah.
case anyone cares.
And
So
where did the DeLorean just suddenly appear right next to them?
How?
Yeah, why is the DeLorean there?
it was there before,
Didn't
wasn't
Doc
it?
come in the DeLorean?
Oh, it's that DeLorean? Okay. My bad.
So yeah, I was expecting a race through time.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
like Back to the Future: The Ride. They go through like 6 different time frames or something.
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
But no.
So I think it's just it's a matter of how they pitch it, because I was still pleased with this.
I wonder if the
and as I'm watching this part, I remember really enjoying this section of the game as well. I think it was just getting warmed up and having some of the tech issues with this episode that were making me have less than fuzzy recollections. I mean, less than warm fuzzy recollections. They're fuzzy recollections, but they're not the warm kind. So of the episode, I'm babbling.
Something else I would do with a time machine, historical stuff, I think would be, you know, maybe install like mini cameras inside the Ford's theater so you could actually see the footage of Lincoln being
but not try to
shot.
prevent it.
Not try to prevent it, but I mean, film like all these great moments in history that haven't been filmed. Like the Trojan horse. I want to see what that really
So wait,
looked
so we
like.
can get Lincoln Got Shot on Blu-ray?
Yes. Or, you know, George Washington crossing the Delaware.
I'm gonna go back to Lincoln being shot. Just further proof that we here at Game Color are terrible people.
No,
that was
no,
all
no.
Michael.
I mean,
that was all Mike.
this. No. Because have you guys ever seen any time travel things where they try to prevent Lincoln from getting shot?
Yes, that series of children's books I referenced in the first.
Yeah, it never works. That's what I've learned because I've seen that plot in like 3 different things. It was in the Twilight Zone too, where a guy went back in time and tried to save Lincoln, and then he ended up getting killed by John Wilkes
So you're
Booth.
saying it's just not worth trying?
It's just not worth trying. It's not going to work. And it was on Family Guy too, I think, but I could be wrong about that.
Very
So
solid historical
clearly-
sources.
clearly, it is impossible if you have a time
Well,
machine
I'm
to
glad
prevent
that,
Lincoln from getting
that
shot.
proper academia has really explored this issue thoroughly. So welcome to Hill Valley.
Yeah, but you know, it would be interesting to say like get a video of George Washington's inaugural speech as president,
I agree.
or you know, see the things we haven't seen. I don't know.
In fact, I think,
What are things
do-
that are a mystery?
Or do what Doc did exactly, is go
Yeah,
back and
historical
try and
mysteries.
unveil the secrets of the mysteries.
I think Orson Scott Card has a time travel book where, at least at the beginning of the book, they can only view things just as you're saying. But I don't think they don't go back in time and plant the cameras. They just have. I'm probably remembering this wrong, but I think they have a computer that just lets them sift through time as though it were a DVD,
Interesting.
basically.
In this is getting way off topic, but in Invisible Scarlet O'Neil, which was a comic strip, they had a series where she had a mirror that she could use to see things in the past.
Cool.
But only things that were in the same room as the mirror.
So she broke off a shard of it and carried it around with her.
She should have, but apparently, you know, it's like, oh, well, here's the scene of Julius Caesar being killed. Because apparently Julius Caesar had the mirror on him when he was killed.
Huh.
He wasn't killed in front of a mirror. He was killed in the Forum. Now I'm questioning that plot line.
So what happened to Hill Valley?
We're trying to figure this out. Hill Valley has disappeared, and the only resident is this woman, who is...
A zombie.
Hey, Miss Strickland.
No, it's old Edna.
We are playing The Walking
Where did
Dead.
it fly?
Beat me to it. I was really pleased with the I guess meta puzzle of this, just the entire puzzle
Yeah, it's a very interesting
aroma
style
of this area.
Listen, Sonny, I'm an easygoing woman, but I got a few rules I live by. And rule number 1 is I never, ever talk about the
About the past.
or the future neither.
She's so messed up.
Talk about any day but
She's really not that different from when we first met her.
I guess that didn't go
So apparently it's her destiny to just shout out of windows at other people.
and to have cats.
Now, here's a question. Why is there something in her past that she's trying to forget? No, wait.
She's trying to forget Emmett shoving her into a time machine.
Yeah, no. Is this a spoiler? Yeah, that's
Probably.
a spoiler. Never mind. I'll talk about it
What
later
time
then.
frame are we in right now?
We're still in 1931.
Okay.
We're still in 1931.
So she was
but,
sent to
I
like
mean,
18 something, and she's been living her life up until this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was sent to like 50 years in the past.
I've been here all. What day is it?
But once we find out what the thing is that's causing her to be so repressed, I'm still not sure why that causes so much repression.
October 13th.
I guess it's just time travel in general.
Yeah, because if you're not living in an era
Expect
where
it.
you really have anyone even talking about it in a fictional setting.
I brought something for you.
What is it?
I think
If you're in an era where nobody knows you, but she seems to have fit in pretty well in the time period. People know who she is.
I think if I were shoved into a car and sent 50 years back into the past, I would also be messed up.
Look hard.
I think after 50 years, though, and I got back to my normal time, I would be at least somewhat used to it.
He's all grown up.
I mean, I could understand being, very confused and distraught for, say, like the first 6 months, but you think eventually you would adjust to the new timeline.
That's a
And,
creepy smile just then.
Yeah.
God, don't do that.
And then you might even try to manipulate the timeline to your own
Stop it.
needs. That's his flirty smile.
It's his I'm going to devour you smile.
Well, he has a hard time being flirty with her, and let's be honest, who would? Because she's not looking very attractive right now. I don't think she's bathed in several months. I mean, she does look like she hasn't bathed in several months, right? This is not just
No,
me making this
I
up.
think that was what gave her her zombie-like appearance. Or it contributed to it anyway. I like the cowboy hat, though.
The hat looks really nice on her. Although her hair looks, I don't know.
Darling.
I don't know why Doc is so scared. Her hair looks a lot like his.
But his is
And
intentional.
walks
It's with
away.
style.
Is his hair really intentionally like that?
If it weren't, I'm sure he would have created a machine to make it look different.
I trust you've done the same.
Of course I have.
Could Doc really create a hairstyling machine? I thought that exploded.
I think Doc needs a beard. There you go. Cross that off on your
Beard,
bingo card.
alternate timeline.
Yes. Evil Doc has a
We
beard.
have- We don't have any beards in
No,
the
goatee.
Back to the
Yeah, you're
Future
right.
series.
Your evil counterparts have to have a goatee.
Wait, that's a
That's a
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek reference. I never seen that episode, but so many TV shows have done that.
So next time we're all getting together to hang out for like a 10th anniversary Game Cola celebration, I'll need to sit you down with an episode or two of Star Trek.
Meh.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be irrelevant by now? It was a 1970s series.
60s.
60s. Wow, so it's 50 years old. People are still talking about it?
People are still talking about Abe Lincoln and George
I was
Washington.
gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. People are talking about the 50th anniversary of Vatican II coming up this year. No, but I mean, how many other TV series from the 60s do we really talk about that often?
Well, and I'm going to try and avoid getting off on a
Nathaniel is going
here,
to murder
but-
you.
No. I have an open mind about other people's opinions of Star Trek because I realize that it is not for everyone, and
Well, I haven't
that-
seen it, so I mean, I'm
oh,
not
yeah,
saying
and
I
there's
like
that
it.
too. So, there are certain. I'm just going to stick with TV shows, though this also applies to movies and books and other forms of entertainment. There are certain TV shows that have really cemented themselves in the public consciousness because of how novel they were at the time, how many things they've influenced since then, or they were just of particularly high quality then, and they've still held up pretty well over the years. And I think Star Trek, even though it definitely looks like a product of its time period, it still has themes and ideas that are relevant to people today.
I can't shake him.
Okay, I'm looking up some of these 60s shows. They're okay. I like Dragnet, but nobody ever watches that anymore.
And it
The
also
Brady Bunch.
it also doesn't help that, or it doesn't hurt, that Star Trek spawned a number of spin-offs that are still popular and have been running for decades.
Well, come to think of it, how can I be?
Yeah,
Because
most
that's
of these
another way to
are
get
most of these are TV
looking back.
shows I've seen on reruns.
What's going on?
I have to apologize. It looks like she was not stuffed into the time machine. It looks like she got in there and traveled through time by herself.
Yeah, sorry, I should have pointed that out earlier. She did get
Yeah.
into the time machine. She just wasn't expecting it to be a time
For some
machine.
reason, I thought Doc shoved her in there.
She just wanted a getaway car. So in this puzzle, we're recreating what happened in her memory.
I'm being
And I have to be honest, that does not at all remind me of the car traveling through time. That sound and the shiny lights.
to the past.
So that was the one part of this puzzle that got me stuck. It's like I had no idea what I was supposed to do there.
So small and primitive. Heavens! Can it be? It is!
Is what?
Grandfather! Big as life!
Marshall Tate.
She seems really excited about seeing her
She
grandfather.
seems pretty happy about this whole being in the past thing in general.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I must be mistaken.
Okay,
Things
so
made
she was
sense
sent
then.
into the
Look like
1860s.
That man is an imposter! I'm not even sure it is a man!
Wait, did she just do the Phoenix Wright point again?
Yeah, yeah.
Did it
Yes.
again? Yes,
I was gonna
use
point
that
Why are you
animation.
thinking about the past? Get off my lawn, you kids!
I don't know, when Marty sees his grandfather, he doesn't seem very excited about it.
Because he's freaked out because he knows Doc will get mad at him.
Yeah, but,
Also,
you
I
think...
also never got the impression that Marty was that interested in history. That
Yeah.
Mhm.
he was really just along for the ride, and it was never, wow, I'm in the future. Wow, I'm in the past. This is amazing. You know, there were moments here and there where like, well, this is pretty cool or heavy, but there was never any real joy of I'm a time traveler. I get to see all this cool
It's
stuff.
always more of a, okay, how do I get out of this situation right now?
Yeah, more or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm guessing this mop doesn't get much use.
But, Edna apparently did not do anything to prevent her own existence. Which seems kind of odd considering that she destroyed the entire town where her grandparents lived in. She destroyed the entire town, but apparently they still went on to have children, and those children went on to have children. So now our puzzle is to try to trick Edna into thinking that Cactus is her grandfather.
Strickland. That's the same picture I saw in Edna's apartment, way back.
Is it going to involve putting a hat on the cactus?
Yeah. So as Marty said, he did see that picture in old Edna's apartment in episode 1. So apparently Edna always had great respect for that grandfather.
But he would
No,
never
she had a variety of pictures of relatives hanging on her walls, I think so. Maybe she does have a much greater passion for history and family history than Marty does. That's why she was so excited about seeing her grandpa.
Yeah, maybe just personal family
Yeah.
history. But you think she would have
Not bad.
at least tried to,
Not bad. That doesn't look anything like
Lincoln.
grandpa.
Everything looks
But we've already seen that Edna's
Yeah.
willing to believe whatever even vaguely resembles what she
She
wants
could
to
just
see.
have really bad
Yeah.
eyesight at this point.
sturdy and well kept, and the young people
You think
of
she could have
Mill
tried to
Valley,
prevent World
they're
War
so
II?
virtuous and upright. So unlike
If
the
not
degenerate
Lincoln getting
specimens
shot,
from
then
the
maybe
20th
try to stop
century.
World War
And
II.
I know the reason why.
World War I even. She was sent before both of those wars, right?
Prey to the vices of booze and debauchery. They
It
are
would have never
still
worked.
in a state of innocence. I think I could learn to like living here.
Yeah.
But
Let me
who
see. She was in California in the
Objection.
1800s. That would have been after the gold rush.
Lips curled in an insolent sneer.
Yeah, very interesting. Reliving her past here, she does seem very excited about having traveled back in time. Seems quite happy.
interesting puzzle here.
Good job solving that one.
What's the last name of the villain?
Throwing his
Oh.
money around. Stolen money, no doubt. Why can't they
I don't
see
know. I
the
think
way
if that
of
happened to
the
me,
truth
I
and
probably
power?
wouldn't have stayed in California.
And now his plan becomes
I would have
clear.
gone back
He's
east to
on
like
a
more
land
civilized
in town.
areas.
He's going to put up
I
a
think I would have been on
Oh,
team.
you mean
try to-
civilized at the time period?
I mean, yeah, at the time period, we still had you know, lots of wars going on in California at that
Because I'm
time.
picturing like cavemen on surfboards now.
Cavemen on surfboard. No, we're talking about California somewhat officially being part of the United States and Mexico thinking that it's still part of Mexico.
In old Saloon side.
Because
In the
weren't
past.
Mexican-American War still going on during that time?
Bad it's all burned.
I don't know my history that much.
I would have just tried
Anyway,
to go back to my time period.
they're in Northern California. It doesn't matter that much.
I wanted to set that sign on fire so bad.
Thought you, well,
Yeah.
I thought the active inventory item was algae cakes there for a second, and then it was working, and I got really confused.
Can't let that snake ruin paradise. Well, if they're all too blind to stop him, I'll just have to take the law into my own hands. I'll make sure this sinful establishment never opens its doors. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something
So what is she gonna do about the saloon?
conclusive.
I think I have an idea. She's just going to let it be.
No, she's not gonna let Tannen get away with starting a saloon.
Marty, be very careful right now.
Barty's not careful. He's
What
gonna
are
set
you
Edna on
doing?
fire.
Young man, you've just given me an idea.
Marty, this is one of your worst ideas yet.
Kerosene.
Marty has had good
Somebody please
ideas.
stop her.
To the building site. No sense in being parsimonious.
She needs that
And
outhouse.
now, watch.
Yeah, so this is my question. I mean, the fire burned down the speakeasy, and why did that cause her to go crazy? Because she's already burned down several speakeasies at this point. Oh, okay, my objection to the plot line seems to have bored Paul.
No, that was a not a.
Yeah, so this must be like what, the third or fourth No, it has to be like the fourth speakeasy she's burned.
If we're counting outhouses as speakeasies.
No, because Kid Tannen makes references to her more than one speakeasy being burned. It's his previous speakeasy and other speakeasies in the area that have been burned.
But if we're counting outhouses.
Mm-hmm. But still, it seems kind of odd that she would repress it after the fourth
Well, see,
one.
I don't
rather
think
than,
it was
like,
just the
her
speakeasy. I was waiting for them to confirm this for me. She appears to have destroyed the whole town, and I think she's perhaps more upset about that than just the speakeasy itself.
I'm not the real
Yeah.
criminal in this story, am I, Mr. Sagan?
But that begs the question of how she didn't erase her own existence.
You made me steal your infernal car. You made me
Well,
burn
Marty's
down
grandpa was
Hill
still around.
Valley. And now, by the
Well, they
powers
lived on a farm very far away from the
Okay, oh,
town.
that's
If
true.
you remember,
That's true.
by sentence
And now all of our
to
characters are dead.
the Stricklands lived far away from town too, didn't they? Because Marshall Strickland was the sheriff, right? And he had a little son.
Yes.
I got the feeling they didn't live in town.
This is your cue to skedaddle. Right. Much obliged.
Thank you, William.
We just
McFly,
leave him to
who-
die.
Yeah,
Shouldn't we have
basically.
tried to not do that?
Well, this timeline is going to be erased soon anyway, so it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
we're back to that logic.
Yes, we're back to that logic. Okay, so it's July 17th, 1876.
There's Beauregard Tannen's half-finished saloon. Sometime during the next
You know, you
hour,
think Edna might have
show
tried
right
to
door
prevent
where
the
and
Great
accidentally
Depression,
turned
too.
down.
There are so many things she could
I
have
don't
tried
think
to
she's very
prevent.
focused on the big picture, at least
doesn't
not
care.
how it does not relate to her.
You go through the front. Got it.
She's I'm not gonna say she's not self-centered. Actually, I guess self-centered is a good word for it.
She could have worked harder on spreading Puritan ideals throughout the country.
That's
But
true.
then again, we haven't seen any other towns, so, you know, it could be that maybe.
I do not think there are other towns in the Back to the Future universe.
I better not get too close.
No, there's Sacramento. They mentioned the Sacramento mob, so
okay.
maybe she went after the Valenti mob in Sacramento too. And that's what she was concerned with. She was erasing them from the future. And that's all the work she did in other towns, but we didn't see it because Marty doesn't stick around long enough to find out.
Who's there?
Maybe she did prevent World War II.
Yeah, we don't know that she didn't. Excellent
What are
point.
you doing here? I was going to ask you the same question, Miss Pickford.
And how did he wake up? I'm sorry, he was just passed out 5 seconds
Maybe he
ago.
was not passed out.
Ignoring. He just ignored Marty walking past
He
him,
just wanted to see how it played out first.
and then he just gets up as soon as he hears stop talking.
You shoot her, she'll drop the torch, and this whole place will burn up.
So what is that name? Clora
Drop that
Pickford.
torch, he'll shoot us.
Did she pick like a name that means something?
Here, Mr. Tannen.
I don't see a way out unless somebody manages.
Mary Pickford?
At the same time.
Mary Pickford? Oh yeah, Clara Pickford apparently is a Nancy Drew character.
She was an actress.
She apparently is an
Yeah.
actress, yeah.
Did you just go to Wikipedia also?
One of the greatest female stars of all time, and she's a Canadian. Which is odd because apparently Edna hates Canadians.
It's too heavy to lift.
Clara Pickford was inside Nancy Drew, the third one, wasn't she?
Yes.
She was the imaginary person from San Francisco. Or not?
You should be scared. Mice carry diseases.
Oh, and Secret of the Old Clock. Okay, got it.
Why are you so hellfire to
Sorry, I've had to look up Clara Pickford. Clara Pickford, believe it or not, was a man in drag
Hellfire around here, Tannen.
in that game, actually. That was one of the big reveals.
I'm just giving the hard-working folks
Once
There-
again, spoiler.
Yeah.
There
Now I
really
don't have to
was
play
no
that game.
and knock back a few.
There really was no Clara Pickford. That was that was old man what's his face dressed up as a girl to fool Jim Archer.
He would have gotten away with
Bank.
it too if it wasn't for those darn kids.
It was
Man, this thing is
he always Josiah Crowley always intended for the banker to find out about it after his death. Apparently he thought it was amusing.
Nobody knows what you're talking about anymore.
I can't knock him out.
Yeah.
while
I'm
sorry.
he's Still holding that torch.
So this is the end game
There
puzzle.
we go.
This one got me stuck for a little while. Not like stuck, I can't solve it, but it kept me busy for a while. Which I think any good endgame puzzle should.
I liked hearing the conversation between them. Wow, this Mary Pickford was in a lot of movies. But all during the 10s. So I guess most of them had no sound.
She appeared in 34
Kids.
biograph films.
I
I
wonder
don't know
what's
what that means though.
No, stop quiet.
Biographical films?
The hell? No.
From the American Mutoscope and Biograph Company.
You think Edna would have picked a different name, but oh well. I mean, Marty picked like Clint Eastwood. Which makes slightly more sense, because it's the Old West.
Going down. Looks like your
Okay, so
torch
I
is
got the
delivering
pickle
to you.
barrel to be up there.
Still hot enough to bring down this little bit of Gomorrah, Tannen.
And she's got a different hat now. Edna's been rocking the hats throughout this entire series, I have to say.
All right, physics.
Marty knows about physics since when?
And I like that, once again, another subtle reference to the movies is that he's using
Yeah.
sandbags here.
That's a reference to the movies. I didn't think about that until now.
In the second movie, when he drops them on the people who are trying to jump the other him.
Mm-hmm.
What was that
Not
noise?
me, Doc. The me on stage.
Say, that's lovely. Chandelier.
Speaking of the movies, the second movie, why did Biff never hear Marty talk in the back seat of his car? I mean, Marty was using like the walkie-talkies. He's literally like 3 feet away from Biff. I
Movie
never
whispering.
understood why Biff didn't hear it.
Movie whispering.
Wait, was he driving at the time? The wind might have been really loud.
He was driving at the time, but he wasn't listening to the radio, was he?
Okay, that was lucky.
He
That-
was
he's
at one
half
point because he was
listening
listening
to
to
the
the
radio,
sports scores.
right? Because then he turns it up. He turns it up so he can listen to
Okay.
it. He's like, son of a... Then he says a bad word. That old man was right. Does he say a bad
I
word?
think
I
he might.
forget. That sounds like something Biff would do.
He enjoys the salty language.
The ammo's in
Salty
place.
language.
Now to pull the trigger.
Because he's a sailor.
The ammo's in place. Now to pull
Oh
the
man,
trigger.
that's what we should use to tag instead of not safe for work. We should say salty instead.
That pickle barrel's right over her head.
So I had a hard time figuring out what to do
Tell me
here.
if you're not traveling through time under a pseudonym, Mr. Carl.
How are you supposed to get things to drop? I completely forget.
Standoff. Hang in
I have
there,
almost no memory of this puzzle.
Okay,
Sandbag
what you
right
actually
over
have to
Dan's
do
head.
is tap the sandbag, I think. I actually had to look it up.
Come on. Got any last words?
I'll
Which
see
I
you
have to
in
be
hell,
honest,
Cannon.
doesn't really seem like a good idea.
She's using salty language too.
Come on, you son of a...
So was Marty.
Yeah.
And that sandbag was just floating in midair for a second.
Pickles.
If you pause there, it's floating there above his shoes.
That was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Go dog.
Yeah.
This one, Doc. Don't tell Clara. She thinks fisticuffs set a bad example for the boys. Now, where's Edna? Doc, she's gone. Edna's DeLorean.
Now, why did Edna escape rather than setting the thing on
Well,
fire?
the pickle
I
juice
guess
put the torch out.
the pickle
yeah.
juice, yeah. How did the pickle juice fall?
Physics.
Marty didn't touch the pickle juice.
You just need to think your way out of it.
She's a smart woman. I don't agree about that strong moral compass. You're a smart woman with a strong moral compass who just got caught trying to burn down a
Well, it's a
speakeasy.
speakeasy.
But
Trying to set the
Again-
entire on fire.
it's only a bad thing if you're perceiving it to be a bad thing. If
Okay,
your moral
here-
compass is telling you that what you're doing is the lesser of two evils, or that it's actually a good thing, then you're being wrong is right, and then it's good again. That's the evilest part of all. Thing of all.
Everybody needs to have an informed conscience. That's my advice to the audience. Work on informing your conscience so you don't make bad decisions.
Only let it be your guide if it's good.
Yeah. If it's bad, that's because you haven't been informing your conscience. Yeah. Now here's my question: why can't Edna's DeLorean fly, or is she just doesn't know how to activate that?
I think that's a reasonable guess that she has no idea how to make it fly. Or maybe
Well,
she's
is
choosing
this
not to fly.
It's the alternate DeLorean, I guess. So maybe alternate Doc, when he rebuilt it, he didn't rebuild it with flying capabilities.
What the heck am I supposed to do?
He just rebuilt it like a normal car because it was hard enough rebuilding it to begin with. All right, the Nathaniel hoverboard.
Sweet.
Didn't they change the logo because
I
it's
think they
supposed
did.
to be Mattel?
I was just trying to look for that. I think it said Attel just there.
Mattel? It could be. I would have done something like Telltale Games. It's like, eh. So this is the
Yes.
final puzzle of the game. Never mind.
We don't seem to have as much energy in this end game puzzle as we had in previous end game puzzles.
To be quite honest, I think that's one of the problems with the game is you feel like you have 3 endgame puzzles in a row.
And none of them are
The
as
confrontation-
exciting as one would hope, perhaps.
Well, no, there's a confrontation with like Judge Brown, which feels like an endgame puzzle. It feels like that's the end of something. Then we had the one in old
Yes.
Edna's shack. Then we have the speakeasy, and then we have this.
Oh, now we have the patented telltale chase scene.
Well, it's also because they all have a very small area where everything takes place. It's not the roam around and explore a little bit, have some different rooms. It's all the adventure game equivalent of boss fights.
Yeah, but I liked it when I played the game the first time because it's like, wow, now we're actually doing things rather than most of the game taking place in the same area. It's like we have 3 different areas, very different areas in relatively close proximity. If that
This
makes
was fun.
sense.
I like this.
Where does the speakeasy part come from? There wasn't anything else like that. The Saloon challenge. Because this obviously is based off on the second game where Marty had to go around the car. They're basically reusing mechanics from that.
Actually, this is the 3rd or maybe even 4th time we've seen this thing in here. Because wasn't he
That's what I was thinking.
railing around the paddy wagon at the end of the first episode?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then he was around the DeLorean, I think, at a second time.
Yeah, that was in the second game where Doc was being held up at gunpoint by Officer Danny Parker.
I just got distracted by how much more interesting the scene would be if they were periodically, like, they were hitting 88 and going to a different time frame, even one that we've already visited before, or something like that.
Marty would
could be
probably
interesting.
die, but that would be fantastic.
There is that slight problem. That's a good point.
Would he really die?
Well, the DeLorean-
the DeLorean would get very cold, and it'd be hard for him to hold on to. But that's
We
that's
have
about
not
it.
done much study in external time travel.
Yeah, how close do you have to be to the time machine in order to go through
Oh,
time? Do you
I
have
think
to
if
live
he's hanging on to it,
inside
that
it?
would count, but it could also kill him.
Yeah. We need to do
Well-
some experimentation.
Yes, we do.
If it's anything like Star Trek and their warp bubbles,
That maybe there's a like time travel bubble that envelops the time machine, and so maybe any part of Marty that was within the bubble
Okay.
would time travel.
So here's my
So
question.
even like
Why
the ground under the car would time travel as well?
Well,
Yeah.
they'd need to be very selective about
Okay.
how the bubble is shaped.
Why does the time machine leave those fire tracks?
I think they
On the
said
wheels.
on the
Even
commentary
when-
they thought it looked cool.
That's the only
I
reason,
think.
really? Okay, but even when it's floating in the middle of the air, it leaves tire tracks,
I could be mistaken.
right?
We've seen
We've seen the time machine travel in the air, and it still leaves the
circular
tracks.
if I'm not mistaken. Or at least there's. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of when the lightning hit the DeLorean at the end of Back to the Future too.
Yeah, that's
That was
exactly
when they left
it.
the circular ones.
That's the one I'm
Yeah.
thinking of.
That was because it just like
Like,
revved
the
up in
time
place to
machine
88.
was really moving. It was standing in place, but it still leaves the skid marks. So, I don't know what Edna's thinking here. She just wants to drive and get away from them. Is that it? She's not really thinking. And where did she find such a straight road in 19? I mean,
It looked like algae
18.
case because the thing turns
68.
green when you're selecting an item in your environment to interact with.
Yeah, this is me trying all sorts of different items, and guess which one of them work?
The algae cake.
None of them. None of them. But I destroyed her rear view. I destroyed that window she uses to look behind her, so Marty was able to successfully sneak up on her. So that's the puzzle I was solving just then.
I thought you were putting a
For
potato on
anybody
the
who's
car.
playing along with the game and is trying to figure out how to solve puzzles for the first time in this video walkthrough, we're actually. giving
Although
advice.
realistically, if you're trying to use this as a walkthrough to figure out how to beat the game, you really need an adventure guide game guide to figure out how to use walkthroughs.
I'm sorry to any Arglethump fans who have come to gc.net looking for similar thorough guides that you find there.
Yeah. But they can always read my text guide, and there will be a link to this video walkthrough in my text guide.
Cool.
So,
I think we need to use walkthrough with really big, thick quotation marks.
yeah. So Edna notices when the thing turns green, but she didn't really notice Marty hanging on it for like 20 seconds. And she's going pretty steady at a pretty steady speed, it
I
looks
wonder if
like.
she's intentionally
Actually,
trying
I
to stay
mean,
below
look at the
88
car
because of what happened
wheels.
before.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the car wheels. They're not spinning that quickly.
Use the photograph of George. No, the algae cakes. Yes.
Oh.
Aw. Smear up the
Algae cakes with
windshield.
the windshield wiper.
So what? You can stick the
No
algae
idea.
cake through the window and hand it to her, and she'll
I
go,
just like
delicious.
Adventure Game Moon logic, that's all.
And then she'll be so disgusted by how they taste that she'll pull over to get a drink of water. And that's the solution. Ooh, she looks angry.
I wonder why.
She's an angry driver. Why is she angry? And why didn't she shut the door? Pretty please. Oh, okay. Do I use an item on her or something? Algae
Windshield
cakes.
wiper with the
Yes.
tickets. You're trying to like shove the algae cakes into the car.
Yeah, nothing's working here.
Now, was this you forgot the answer to the puzzle or just having fun?
Just
Okay.
having fun. And there's the hoverboard. Using the flux emitters, which we have never seen before.
And the flux overrides.
Well, yeah, he put them on because the time machine was malfunctioning. Alright. So how did 1930 stock manage to build such complicated technology? No, it wasn't 1930 stock. It was alternate dock, but still, he was using 1930s materials to build these sync things.
I like that they switched this up and made it upside down.
Yeah. So here's my question. Why did they even bother with this? Because eventually the time machine disappears. And by eventually, I mean like in 2 minutes, Edna's time machine is going to disappear. Couldn't they have waited just like 2 minutes? Thumbs up.
No response.
Well, they needed to make sure that she wasn't going to go time
Yeah.
traveling anywhere.
According to these readings, Edna's DeLorean is ticking at an alarming rate. So, I mean, clearly what I've done is just wait for her time machine to disappear, then forcibly put her inside our time machine.
Wait, the car would like
take her
disappear
back
around her and she
normal
would go
time.
crashing to the ground.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Well, are we really that concerned for her safety now?
Oh, don't look. Language.
Uh-oh. And she doesn't know how to work the brakes. But apparently it's okay because trying to break the wall at the police station in Hill Valley, nobody notices or gets in trouble for doing it. Because
Oh, and now
Marty
she's
was
dead.
Great plan, Doc.
Parker, then I must be back
Not
in-
bad for no
Would you
airbag.
be kind enough to tell me
Yeah.
Not even a scratch on
The
her.
day I place you under arrest for arson, resisting arrest, and being a general all-round pain in the ass.
I do not think there's a law against being a pain in the butt.
Not now. I just got
I
back
think
from
there's
a
a law
hiking
against
trip.
crashing a car into the police station.
Drunk as a skunk.
But she doesn't get arrested for that.
I'm a time traveler.
Sure you are.
Did you notice Officer Parker slide his hand on up her arm?
The whole day over if you want. We can fix
It looked a
everything.
little suspicious to me.
So that's your pairing, Nathaniel.
I
You're an
didn't say
Edna.
anything about
Oh,
pairing.
so that's your shift.
I'm just
Okay.
pointing out some unpoliceman-y behavior.
I think Officer Parker should get together with Jennifer's
Yeah, I was
grandmother.
gonna say, what if Marty just prevented Jennifer from being born?
You know, whoever said time
Well,
heals all wounds is
He'll just
no
find another girl who
Oh.
looks and acts completely different from her, but he'll just call her Jennifer and say it's okay. Okay, so here we go. Now the timeline is going to catch up with that car.
2, 1, now.
And Doc manages to do all those sorts of calculations in his head.
See? What did I say? Ready to go home?
He's
Wait,
been
Doc, the timeline's not
practicing
fixed
with this
yet.
time
Look.
travel for a while now. He's well experienced.
For quite some time.
Sonny,
So why did these two go to the courthouse so late at
They
night?
were going to see Frankenstein, right?
Rumor about you two.
No, they came out of the courthouse.
They got married.
Ta-da! Party!
They got married
Pickle.
last
You know,
night,
last
though.
night.
Tried to
They-
keep a
again.
secret in Hill Valley.
Well, you're gonna
I guess
congratulate
they, they went with Judge Brown to get all the details finalized.
Grandpa's married
So I'm just
the
gonna say
wrong
we're
grandma.
like 10 minutes from the end of this entire series, and Marty still hasn't figured it out.
You all right, kid? You don't look so hot.
He hasn't figured what out.
Who his grandma is.
Marty, you can't
I
tell
find it a
this.
little odd to
You're not
believe he
supposed to
never
get
knew
married
who
for
his
the
grandmother
fight.
was.
Well, I know Trixie and
Considering how he knows who Jennifer's grandmother is, he doesn't know his own grandmother.
Well,
The only explanations I can come up with are that she
Oh, man.
gained a lot of weight, changed her hair color, changed her hairstyle, and started smoking so that she, sort of took on a different side of a
Changed
voice.
her voice, and she doesn't burst into song when she's a grandmother.
The past is the
so we're setting
past.
Trixie up for kind of a sad future here.
Yeah.
Marty, come on.
You see through.
Please, Marty.
Nope, never could figure you out. I thought you'd be thrilled for
I
us.
cannot be the only person who
You
figured this out in
understand.
game 1.
You're supposed to marry Sylvia Miskin. But I did marry Sylvia
I think I would
Miskin.
recognize my grandma. I've seen pictures of her when she was like in her 20s.
Don't
So-
feel too bad.
I mean, it's not even that he's not recognizing her, it's just that he hasn't figured out that they were supposed to get together.
Grandma,
This
hey,
is how it
who
works
do you
out.
think I am, kiddo?
Well, yeah, because she's going under the fake name of Trixie Trotter.
Oh, see, here
Yeah.
we go. Skinny.
Yeah, like you're
blonde,
saying.
you're
Right.
right.
Oh my God, you as a-
She gets fat and she dyes her hair.
Sylvia? You okay, pal? Yeah, I'm fine.
Didn't they take any wedding photos though for him to see?
Have yourself a wonderful honeymoon. And
Because
don't
that's
worry about your dad,
that's the only pictures I've seen of my grandparents in their
I definitely
20s.
would not recognize my grandparents if I went back in time.
approving your marriage.
Oh.
You seem kind of mad
Well,
about it back at the high school.
In the Back to the Future universe, your family members all look and talk like each other, so
And are in fact played by the same actor at some
She's
point.
either gonna look like Lorraine or she looks like Jennifer. You can figure it out.
Aw, thank you, Dad.
As for you, stranger, I'll thank you to not go poking your nose in McFly family business.
yeah, see, Marty looks a lot like him, just from the profile.
It's been a pleasure, Agent Crockett.
I am still having difficulty reading these blurry subtitles,
See you in the funny paper,
and
Daddy.
I'm pretty sure Michael J. Fox just said,
Bye,
after
Grandma.
you, shampoo.
You know, I took some pictures that Hey, that's my
And see,
grandma
this.
you're talking about.
Didn't we mention this in the previous game when young Emmett was talking about taking pictures of Trixie on this line? It's like, that's a weird throwaway line, and now old Doc is referencing that. Does he still have those pictures, I wonder?
So we've beaten the game and everything's okay and nothing super weird is gonna happen, right?
May 14th.
Nothing super weird.
Best to fill in a little lag time.
Perhaps this is where the canon stops, Nathaniel.
No. It's good for another couple minutes.
Hey, don't you want to stay, Doc? You gotta stop the
It's
bet.
not the
Sell
estate
up on
sale,
your
it's a
stock.
garage sale.
What are you talking about?
Which
One
is
of the things
odd
I-
because there doesn't seem to be anything set up outside, just like 2 boxes. That's not a good garage sale.
You mean,
That's the worst garage sale ever.
hello, Doc?
I mean, look at all that empty space.
Well, maybe this is late in the garage sale. They've sold everything.
Find something you like. Speaking of which,
Well, who's running the garage sale?
Clearly
Because
George is,
clearly-
right?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why.
Great. Hey, is that a box of Asimov?
No, George is asking, is that a box of
Oh,
Asimov,
okay.
indicating that has not been here.
So everything at this yard sale has been stolen then, is the thing.
Yeah. No, but I think it's weird that George asks the question of Marty, referencing his conversation with Marty in episode 1. Because that was like 12 timelines ago. Why wasn't that conversation erased?
Something funny? I'll explain it to
Yeah,
you
we
later.
changed the timeline, so Doc and his father are good friends. I mean,
Oh,
Doc
yeah,
and
the
his
estate
father.
sale never would have happened, so Marty and George would have had no such conversation inside Doc's lab.
Yeah, there would not have been some Urhouse. Yeah, it's so strange.
Graduation?
Marty's
That's not
graduating?
for another. The McFlys of Hill Valley. An exhaustive,
Oh.
detailed history of your family, from your great-great-grandfather Seamus to the present. You traveled
Does he
through
really
time
need it
to
now
write
that
this?
he's met every single one
Oh,
of these
no,
people?
it's cool.
He could have used it when he was trying to figure out who his grandmother
So
was.
is that why Doc was traveling back to begin with?
To look for her.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who knew she was singing?
Well, he said he
I
does
think
most
they're
of the
about
research
to speak
honestly.
he's Arson. He just wanted to see Marty's grandmother.
Great, Doc.
Oh.
That's the least I could do for the man who saved
That's
me.
nice, but
See,
still kind
this
of
this
disturbing.
would have been a really nice, sweet way to end right there. Oh, well, okay, after her.
She has a dog. Oh, wait, no, she doesn't.
What's
No,
going
it's
on?
Einstein. She's just taking Einstein for
She's
a
friends
walk.
with the dog.
Same thing I do every
Yeah.
afternoon, silly
Oh,
man.
Instead
look
of
how
the
much
cat's
happier she
She
is.
has a dog
Such
slap,
much-needed
which
exercise.
proves once and for all that dogs are better than cats.
Oh, you don't want to start that conversation.
Yeah, I
Bunnies are
know.
better than both of them.
Coming, sweetie.
Yeah,
Mr.
maybe.
McFly, have you seen my stepson anywhere?
And apparently she marries Kid Tannen because
Because they met in college, or not in college, in jail.
they met in
You're right,
jail.
Mr. McFly. Bye, Marty.
But she's not Biff's
Oh.
mother. So
This makes plenty of sense. Don't worry about it.
So I guess they got married. No, they met in prison and fell in love, but they didn't get married until like 30 years later, until after Biff was conceived, in order to avoid destroying the timeline.
Okay, there. We can end the game there.
Yeah.
Sail.
Or they
The
could've
end.
gotten
Thanks
Everybody's
for
happy.
watching, everyone.
Yeah. No, here's my theory. It took like 60 years until Kid Tannen was finally released from jail, and then they got married. So that would have been after Biff was in high school and everything.
And see, this is what spoiled the ending
Yeah.
for me.
What are you doing here?
And this is where I would not have had Marty J. Fox do the voice.
Your younger self sees you, the consequences could be catastrophic. My younger self.
Marty J. Fox.
Right. Bring him along too. This concerns all of
I
us.
would have still had the AJ guy, the guy who's been doing
but
Marty's
these
voice.
Martys are the same age as what's his face, Seamus or
They
whoever.
are? No, Seamus was all gray hair.
Oh, that's true. They have all
This looks
they
like-
seem to have the same wrinkles in their face though.
This looks like 40 years old though, or 30 or 40. Now this guy looks a little bit older than the other one.
Me, you gotta help. If you want to save Jennifer and our 12 kids.
They look the same to me.
That timeline was overwritten 5 jumps back. Jennifer's how can there be 2 more? I have no idea.
How is Marty so confused?
It already is.
This brings me back to what I was almost about to say before, was digging through the Game Color archives, I came across the article where a couple of staff members were reacting to possible storylines for this game. And this is shaping up to be one of the possible ones that
My timeline was
seemed
too
okay.
long.
The
But-
Time Police.
Yeah.
As long as it's not hidden object game.
Yeah, Doc, but which one is the real me?
I don't understand why Marty's so confused or worried. So which one is the real Marty?
They're all the real Marty from different timelines, different possible timelines.
Okay, so which timeline is the one we want to preserve?
None
Because
of them.
all three of them,
Yes.
all three of them presumably are going to try to destroy every single timeline except their own.
See, my concern here is because you leave this as a tag at the end to obviously open up room for a sequel, and unless they already have half of the plot fleshed out for the sequel, this
Yeah.
is the kind of thing that gets really dangerous, because if they don't make another game, then you're just left with, well, when are we going to get a sequel? And if they make another game and say, oh, well, actually, we really don't like the direction that we started to go with this fun little teaser at the end, but now we're kind of committed to it. So it's just too
Actually,
many
a similar
problems.
problem when they, at the end of Back to the Future 1, they did not know there were going to be 2 and 3. So when they did that, it's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids. When they started actually making movie 2, that was like a hurdle for them. Like that was something they had to deal with, but didn't really want to.
But at
Well, you'd
least
think
with
that
that,
wouldn't be
it's
much of a
vague
hurdle.
enough.
Yeah, it's vague. Just go to the
That's
future.
true. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. This
It's
yeah,
go to the future, you get problems
it's
with
a
your
little
kids.
more specific.
And I got the
Lots of
sense
options.
here that's exactly what they would be doing. Is just go to some place in the future or in the past
Well,
and figure out
if
what we
we're
would
all
do the
following,
script. Yeah, I don't
if
know.
we're all following the general flow of the movies, the next one's got to take place more in the future than the past.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, at this point, I had stopped really taking the storyline very seriously at this point, because I was like, by like game 2, I was already just so confused about what the rules of time travel were in this universe.
Well, again, they seem to change. I mean, maybe there's some unifying theory that I'm not picking up on, but they seem to change based on what makes most sense for the
Yeah.
plot to move along. And that's fine, because the game isn't breaking its own rules about time travel because it never explicitly
establishes them,
stated
right.
all of the details.
Oh, sorry, that was Willie McFly, not Seamus McFly that we saw earlier.
Yeah, a little too
Yeah.
young
Yeah,
for
that's
Seamus.
what I knew I had that wrong. So that was it. That was Back to the Future, the game.
That was Back to the Future, the game. Final thoughts? Pretty good
good.
series.
It could have never lived up to what I wanted it to be. I don't think, such a Back to the Future mega fan that I am, and such a mega fan of adventure games. Like, I don't think it could have possibly met my ideal.
Yeah, for all the complaining we've done, there was still like no way I would play episode 1 and not play episode
Yeah.
2 and not play episode 3 and not play episode 4. I was that committed.
It was much better than I was expecting, because I've learned to be a little bit wary about licensed games in general, especially ones that try and pick up and continue movie
And it did
storylines.
have lofty
but-
shoes to fill in Super Back to the Future Part 2.
But I was really pleased. I absolutely loved the first episode because it successfully, for me, captured the essence of the movies and made me feel like I was just interacting with Back to the Future Part 4. And over time, some of the aspects of simply it being an adventure game took away some of the magic of it being that experience of this is another Back to the Future movie that you're controlling. So yeah, some of the repetition with a couple of the puzzles, a couple of the areas, all of the walking around the town square endlessly. There were some things that did detract from it, but so many of the puzzles were clever. The dialogue felt very natural and comfortable with the characters, and it was a fun time.
It's fun, and you got to explore, I guess. Explore young Doc's storyline, and that was the good part. So here's the part nobody understands.
Well, again,
Is it to be
I was
continued or
going to say
not?
they did that at the end of Back to the Future 1, but no, they didn't. I don't think they did until the second one.
No, the second one I think said to be
That's right.
concluded,
Okay, so they did do it at the end of Back to the Future Part 1 when they
Oh, I'm suddenly a mega
when
fan.
they were not
assuming
planning,
I got that.
where it was not confirmed anyway that they were doing a sequel at that point.
At the end of the 4th video game, it said to be concluded.
And at the end of this video, it says, well, whatever the last thing is that we say.
Yep. So thank you very much for watching,
thanks.
everybody.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you again if they make another series, I guess.
Bye.